I'm delighted to be back at Bishop McNamara on this first week of the new school year. I think it's probably your first school mass in 2024, and you do so on an important feast day of St. John Neuman and St. Andre Besette, two holy people from the New World. St. John Neuman, for those of you who don't know, was Bohemian in his background. And he was a little guy. But he had a great heart. And he decided that he wanted to be a missionary in the United States. So he came to serve the people in New York originally, but then was brought to the city of Philadelphia, where he became the Bishop of Philadelphia. And I'm very fortunate because I was at John Neuman's canonization. I was a student in Rome when Pope Paul VI canonized the first American bishop. So there's hope for me. But then St. Andre Besette was a porter in Montreal. He was a doorkeeper. He didn't have a very famous responsibility in the monastery where he worked, but he had a great heart. And so people would come to him because they knew that encountering Andre Besette, they would find someone who was filled with compassion. People from throughout the metropolitan area of Montreal would come to see this little porter who opened the door for the monastery, but most importantly, he opened his heart to them. Now, when I heard the gospel that we just listened to, it brought me back to some of the things that we've experienced in how Jesus went about choosing his disciples. Obviously, the gospel today highlights Nathanael. Nathanael was a cynic because when he heard about Jesus and where Jesus came from, he said, "Can any good come from Nazareth?" He didn't believe that Jesus' hometown could produce any important people or worthy disciples. And yet Jesus chose him. In selecting his disciples, Jesus often chose people that we probably wouldn't. He chose fishermen. He chose Peter, and Peter had quite a mouth on him. He chose Thomas, and he was a doubter. He chose these disciples in spite of their weaknesses, their human weaknesses. He chooses people not because they are brilliant or knowledgeable, but he chooses them because he sees potential in them. He sees possibilities in them. And obviously, that's one of the things that Bishop McNamara does in selecting and admitting students. We see possibilities in you, that there's something inside of you that is tremendously great and loving. And here at Bishop McNamara, the job of the responsibilities of the administration and the teachers is to invite that greatness that's inside of you to come out. Today, actually, we're jumping the gun with Andre Besette because his feast day is not until tomorrow, but you're not going to go to school on Saturday. But we also honor John Neuman, that little guy who came from the old world to bring the faith to the new world. Jesus chooses us not because we are brilliant or handsome or knowledgeable, but because he looks inside of the hearts of each and every one of us. And he says, there's something great inside of you. Let it out to play.